My name's Michelle. I'm the Program Director of AusMap, the Australian Microplastic Assessment Project. We're a national citizen science program that maps microplastics around the country. But I just want to go back a step. I started this project, it's been going since 2018. I'm a scientist with a background in marine mammal acoustics, actually, and the impacts of anthropogenic or human disturbance on marine mammals. And so when I started this, it was interesting listening to Lisa before speaking about citizen science. In 2018, I went to a anthropogenic workshop in Sydney before I moved back over here, and a lecturer stood up there and said to the people speaking this afternoon on citizen science, what a crock, really, basically. And she said, if you get me to look in your mouth, I don't call you a dentist. I'll put it down a little bit because I can't see people over there. I'll try and speak loud. And so you can't tell me that citizens collecting scientific data is science. And at the end of the day, when we spoke about the project, and we, as I said, we were fledglings, and I love that that term was used because I use that quite a lot. She actually came up to us and apologised because as scientists, we designed a project that was scientifically rigorous and comparable so that we can collect rigorous data. And that was so 6.5 years ago. So I'm really excited the fact that now 6 years on, citizen science is now becoming a thing, you know, and the data is credible and rigorous. So I'm really excited about that. So we were fortunate enough in 2021 to win the Eureka Prize for Citizen Science, Innovation in Citizen Science. So that was super exciting, except the fact it was COVID and I had to do the presentation in my lounge room with a bunch of ladies that helped me, my citizen scientists drinking champagne. So it was still okay, but we were really excited that we were recognised for our program. So yeah, Uncle Rob is gone now, but I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands that we're meeting on today, and I work nationally, so it's really important that we acknowledge them nationally. As I said, AusMap is a program that's run out of the Total Environment Centre in Sydney. We're a national program. My office is in Sydney, but I work from home here and have been doing so for 6 years. But it's the program that we map microplastics around the country, and we use that information to educate, engage and empower local communities for policy change and managers for trying to change and put this issue on the map. Our impact, I won't go into too many details, but being a national program, you know, we've engaged, over 8,000 to 10,000 volunteers. We work in that, our program is that we train people officially in our program. I run training events across the country. I think I'm now up to 80 in the last 6 years, so that I know that those people, those citizen scientists are trained in our methodology and that the data I get back is rigorous and comparable between sites. We've collected over 800 samples. We've got still lots of gaps, and obviously as scientists we can't be everywhere, and that's clear, and that's why the importance of citizen science is what it is today. So we produce a publicly available hotspot map, and as I said, every spot is collected data that's collected in the same way. Our program is directly matched to science and geography for the Australian curriculum, and so a lot of school students and teachers use our program as well. And we map microplastics ranging from the green spots there, 0 to 10 pieces per square metre, up to greater than 10,000 pieces per square metre. And when you think about that, that's not bigger. And we actually had to put that purple place in on our map following work that we did here in South Australia, which is pretty scary. So from any one of those points you can actually click on it and it gives you lots of information about the number of microplastics per square metre, where it is, who did the samples and information about that data. And as I said, because it's all collected the same way by trained citizen scientists, we're able to use that to compare between sites. So across South Australia, I'll just give you a few results, but all of this, as I stressed, I have 5, I'm one of 5 that run this program nationally, and none of us work full-time. Funding obviously is the biggest thing that we have issues with. I work for a very small non-for-profit charity. We are a registered charity, and so we do rely on, we're 100% grant funded. We don't get funding from anybody, but we rely on working with citizens and local councils Not much in the way of state government funding, although I'll talk about that in just a moment. But you'll see here across South Australia, we've got a number of sites, 26 coastal sites, 12 estuarine sites and 3 wetland areas. And a lot of our work done here in South Australia is to thanks of Port Adelaide Enfield Council. Craig is here today with that, who has funded a lot of our work. And, oh, I've got some there. And so we were recognised through citizens about the hotspots areas around West Lakes, for example. And that there shows you our coastal beaches here across South Australia are really low in microplastics. And until you get to sort of more the estuarine areas around West Lakes, the values start to increase. And then our wetlands there up around the, we won't go into too many details, but over 750,000 pieces in a square metre. So, but that's all the work of my local citizen scientists here. I've got a group of ladies up in the hills in Harndorf who sit together. Their average age is 75, and they sit there and count microplastics for me while drinking cups of tea. And I couldn't do it without them. I really couldn't. But it's about understanding the possible sources. But that's a discussion for another day, so we won't go into that too much now. But a lot of our debris on our beaches and in our waterways comes from us from land. And so, as I stressed, our coastal areas are very low loads, which is wonderful. But when you get more inland in our waterways, that's where the loads increase considerably. So the quick project I'm going to mention here is I was one of the recipients of the small citizen science grants, and we were doing that to look at microplastics over on KI. As Karen had pointed out before, we came over and helped out for one session looking at microplastics on Kangaroo Island with her group. However, because we rely on training people officially, we have to become a little bit more so we can compare that data. And so we were looking at how we can effectively collect microplastic data on KI, how it varies around different locations around KI, and then how does that vary between on KI or the regional areas and coastal areas compared to us up here. So we had a 3-year program. Last year was the first program, and so we went over there about this time last year, ran another official training day, our second training day. We've got about 50 people on the island trained in the program. We work very closely with the Kangaroo Island Community Education, the school there. We've got a few trained teachers, and we were able to sample some locations around the island. Very low loads, apart from Harriet River, which is down near Vivon Bay, so it's coming out of that river somehow. We don't quite know where, because there's not much up there apart from farmland, so that's interesting. We need to look into that a bit further. But we're able to look at the different types and use that information, and so the kids in the classroom can then use that and compare it with different sites across the country as well. So it really increases their capability of learning by getting off island or using the information from off island for their generations. And so we're off there again in a couple of weeks, and not doing a training day this time, but doing a community plastics in the pub. We like to go and have a talk about it while having a drink with the locals, engaging them, that's what it's all about, and then running a community day just to get them out there and collect some data again around the island. So look, I just wanted, I don't know why that's all come up there, I'm missing a picture. Citizen science really is an effective way, and we're here as citizen scientists here to collect valid and scientific data. And that needs to be portrayed more, as Lisa said, to the scientific community and the government, that our data is rigorous and can be used. Microplastics in SA are low, we know that, including KI, but it's super elevated in our estuaries and wetlands. And we need to recognise where that's coming from, and we are working slowly towards that. All my pictures have gone, but that's all right. For us, as a citizen science program and in South Australia, it's sad to know that we've got the highest loads of microplastics in the country, and this data is being collected by citizen scientists. And so we need to be able to recognise and have targeted approaches as to where that's coming from, and working with government, state government, local government we're doing very proactively, but the state government as well needs to take that initiative on board more so. But yeah, that's about all I've got. If you have any questions, give me a holler, and please, if you want to be involved, get in touch. We'd love to talk more.